Yeah, we are having a bigger 55, and this has been pretty ugly because we have been playing. We have been not playing. We have been fucking this $54 turbo knockout up. Or actually, that's not nicely said. We have been screwing it up because we have been playing the short stack that I should have most edge in pretty horribly. But hopefully we get lucky and we get to carry on. Not this time.
Unfortunately, there were quite a few outs, but no hit on the river.
Yeah, I think we got like $138, but it's not that much. So we hope that we are going to get more in the near future. There's the $22 big antes. It looks like it's going to be a nice game as well.
Looks different. 360 gap. 2K guaranteed.
Yeah, and only 45 players, so it's got a draw for me because it seems like there could be some overlay.
And overlay is something we really like.
Against the worst player I'm going to ship it even though we have more than 10 times what he's opening because there are antes and I think that weak players are going to call too much with their ace highs there that we are going to dominate. So there is going to be our shootout rail. Which shall be quite interesting. Kaleon is far in the shootout, and that's going to be good for you if you won with 4-3-0 against the 2-2 on that flop. I think we are going to take our last regular speed games during this hour, but I don't yet know what are the best regular speed games to take, and during the next hour we will be translating completely to turbos because we are aiming that we are ending before the Super Bowl. Should be good.
Go for it.
This should be good as well.
You're like a kid in a candy store. I like this game. I like this tourney. This sounds good. I want to have this.
I almost wrecked Omaha High-Low Hyper Turbo.
That is not good. Please don't do that. I know you are a really good player, but you are not a good high-low player. And no offense, you're just never played those.
Yeah, but I know the rules.
By Googling.
Shouldn't that make me plus EV in the game?
No.
Yeah.
Because it might, but I cannot say that out loud because you might just do that.
But I watched Kyberis and Korpisoturis Omaha Tournament special, although that wasn't on high-low, but still.
Close enough.
Yeah. I know that if you have an ace too, you need to ship it.
And that's the only thing you know about it.
If it's double suited, it's going to be pretty.
Even better. I think that doesn't sound too professional opinion.
Yeah, I'm going to leave the Omaha tourneys to specialists, but as I'm not an Omaha specialist by any means yet.
Well, I remember you playing one weird special game once that you didn't realize that was going on, and then you just started to Google the instructions for it, the rules and everything. and I think it didn't turn out to be a good game.
Actually, when I played Badugi the first time, a tournament Badugi, I got in the money in it.
How on earth?
By googling the rules and thinking that everyone else is just as confused as I am. And also my Hyper Turbo Omaha and 5-card draw, they are the perfect game for me because I have never lost the Hyper Turbo 5-card draw or 5-card or 4-card Omaha Hyper Turbo. I have played one of both and I have got a ticket from each of those.
Yay you! And it's a payday for Kaleon. Congratulations! $1.2.
Don't spend it all at once.
Don't go for the nosebleed games. Not quite yet. Please.
And now we are having a lot of experts
All of a
on
sudden.
high-low. Yeah, but that's good when we have a community that have some experts in there, so you can hear some interesting ideas.
Well, that's why it's definitely a good idea that we have the hand analysis thread there, so you can, and everybody can post their own hands, and you will get some other opinions from other members and coaches, so it will be a really helpful way to improve your game. For free, of course.
Boikki, I got it in nines against Jack Queen on a board that included Jack Queen and 9.
And then there is a different opinion about your master plan, how to play high-low games, and maybe not the overplaying ace deuce. Maybe it's not a good idea after all.
I'm shocked. You don't believe in my skills in Omaha.
No, sorry.
That's honest feedback.
You deserve it, honey. I'm not saying that I know anything more than you do, or probably I know even less, but still, if I had to ask, I would probably go for Cooper, to be honest.
But what about Omaha high-low?
Anyone else but you.
That wasn't really nice.
Do you know the rules of the high-low, Omaha high-low?
Yeah.
Well, that's something.
And I know that all Finns are supposed to be good in Omaha, so I should be good in Omaha as well.
Ah,
And at
there's
least-
that.
Yeah, like rally driving. I should be good as a rally driver because I'm a Finn.
So, in other words, I should be good at rally driving and playing Omaha.
Yeah, why aren't you trying it?
What was that call?
8-7. That's like insane deck reads gone wrong.
You have really gotten under his skin, or something.
I have played something like 6,000 hands of Omaha Cash because we had on a previous site we had a challenge with Kuberi, that's an Omaha specialist, like what's going to be the game to learn, and I thought I get more out of it if I try to learn Omaha as well, but that didn't go that well in all, like, and now I'm trying to just, I probably should play some Choom Cash at the end of my sessions because I think there is value when you can get Choom tables instantly up and running, and they are not taking more time, and with just a few tables I think there could be some extra value.
Well, maybe that's why I wasn't so trusting in your Omaha skills because I have seen your craft and it wasn't that pretty. It's not what I'm used to with your crafts, to say the least.
Variance. There's a lot of variance in Omaha.
Sure there is. Whatever makes you feel better.
But like Omaha High-Low, I know that for a good player, there is going to be good values. Like there are some insane graphs on Omaha High-Low professionals. I think the best example is Tatta. That's an Omaha High-Low heads-up specialist, and like his worst downswing is something like 5 buy-ins at Omaha High-Low, and that's just insane because he has tens of thousands of games and something like 15% overall ROI. And you Lost Bro is having a player in his mind that's the great player that's crushing high-low even worse than, even better than No Limit Hold'em. And usually I'm used to drinking a lot, and now you can't even see it. But it's going to be really hard to speak about 5 hours in a row. It gets a bit easier when Dayah is here with me, so I don't need to speak all by myself, but still drinking a lot, like...
It's a Coca-Cola, people. Coca-Cola. Nothing more, even though it might sound a bit weird, but we stick to the 0 limit while we are playing poker. And all the champagne and nice stuff comes afterwards. But yeah, it must be really hard to speak that many hours. And I think I couldn't do that. And even if you do that for 2 straight hours, it's a lot. So my hat goes off for you. And fortunately you have had quite a few times of practice before this, but it has been anyway in Finnish, so it's easier anyway, rather than doing that in English, which is not your first language.
I think like in Omaha, what I have seen during my times, it's a very deceptive game. When you are running good, you are feeling that it's all because you are so damn good. And not just that you are running good, because you are getting like decent spots, the runouts just get good for you, and when you are running bad, on the other hand, the game starts to be straight from hell, because it seems like you can't do like 3 correct decisions during one hour session. Like every decision you are doing, every larger decision suddenly is wrong, that your nuts get broken like all the time. Like that you have nuts on the flop, on the turn situation changes, the flop pairs or flush draw gets there, and you are always wrong on those spots when you are running bad in Omaha. And when you are running good, the boards just develop nicely to you, that you are the one with the flush draw or a set there, or 2 pairs. We got a guy on the other table overplaying his hand. I think that's a really nice hand to show. Ace Queen, we got a shove from big blind and also from a limper, and limp shoving, I think isn't easy sometimes.
Now that froze a bit. Oh, we're back in the game.
Yeah, and there is the overplayed Ace King. He doesn't hit, but he pays two streets with an Ace King that hasn't hit, and on the turn he makes pretty terrible call. I think it's also easier to bink the Omaha High-Low tournaments because the fields are so much smaller in the Omaha High-Low tourneys. But still, I think on every kind of game there is variance, and with MTTs it's really hard to see where the variance stops and ends, because you can have a lot of bad run. Yeah, see you, Cooper, in a few hours. Perhaps you are the one to explain the rules of Super Bowl to the rest of us, if we are still online when it's happening.
Sweet dreams. We definitely hope that we will be up in a couple of hours, because usually then it means monies.
Money, 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 money. I could have raised actually a bit more in there against the De Cappuccine.
2.3 big blinds or even more.
Or 2.5. This is going to be an extremely easy shove for me.
True.
Because there are so many or so few players with anything to play. And it's going to be mine, 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 all mine.
And now you have been moved to another table. How does it look like? We'll see soon when the HUD gets refreshed.
I know that there's going to be at least one reg on my table, so I don't like that much. That's something I can say. Usually I like it more when I don't know anyone on the table.
Well, for sure, but that usually is not the case.
Yeah, I have played a lot of MTT sit and goes, so that's why I'm probably knowing most of the regs from the MTT sit and goes. We are going to 3-bet tens if it comes to me by just tease raise, or actually we are going to do a slight set mining, but we are still having a lot of value in our hand. And if he would have opened later on, I would have 3-bet him, but from UTG I don't think that there is too much value in there. And even a little bit less, even betting a little bit less than half a pot would have been good there. We get check raised. I don't believe him right now, because I think that he's going to have also bluffs in his range, but now when he's firing a big second barrel, I think that it's more likely that he has something better than us. And I'm going to do the weak option and give it up.
If he had just checked the turn, would you have bet?
Probably not when I have gotten check raised once. I would have tried to get a cheap showdown. But I would think that then on the river I could have paid the same kind of bet. Because I think that if he would have checked the turn as well, his range on the river bet should have been weaker. But as always, you can ask anything and will answer about anything. So, and it's going to be, you are not guaranteed to get the right answer, but I think that you are getting some kind of an answer. Yeah, queen is a decent card for him to continue to carry on with the bluff as well. I think we are having equity to go in go in as set mining and shoving. If you would have had like 12,000, I would have shoved it there, but pre-flop. But I think we are having slightly too large of a stack that it wouldn't have been that profitable with sevens, but something like nines or tens would be. I would have shoved there even with our larger stack.
That's an interesting all-in shove.
Yeah, with 2-3. He's got a flush draw.
Straight draw.
Straight draw, yeah. And backdoor flush draw. And weak. I would say weak.
Yeah.
Weak backdoor flush draw.
Yeah, I wouldn't be counting on that. What do you think about the call from the
Small blind with 2-3 suited.
no, with the call from the eights?
I think it's decent if you are thinking that what would the guy be shipping here, because why would he shove a strong hand there, like overbet over 3 times the pot? So I think it's a decent call. But there are some players that are shoving 3 times the pot with something like top pair when they are afraid of draws, like flush draws, and that's when the eights will start to be a pretty horrible call. And with Galeon, I agree that queen is a decent card for him to continue with a bluff and flush draws, but then still it's going to be with the ace guy. I'm going to bet that most of the guys in Sunday Million are going to be slightly more nitty than on regular tourneys, because it's, for most players, it is the biggest tournament they're going to play. So I'm adjusting a bit, that I'm not thinking that they will do the ballsiest bluffs they can do. Why not smaller 3-bet with ace queen off in the big 22? Let's see. We are having here, I think that you can do a smaller 3-bet there as well, but I would like to do it with more of a suited hand, like ace jack suited, ace queen suited, ace king suited, when I have more equity on the flop and more chances to hitting the flop big. And with something like ace queen suited, I know that it's plus EV against the limper and the razor, and there is enough dead money on the pot. When I'm shoving, it's going to be good. But I think I'm open to also thinking about 3-betting this small, so that would be a decent option as well.
At least you've got the position this time, and it helps. But if you hadn't had the position, then it would be more clear of a shove, I think.
Yeah. We are going to open sixes in the Sunday Mill. Sixes is pretty much the hand that I'm opening on any position, even with slightly smaller stacks, because sixes play well against. But when we are so deep, I'm going to be opening every pocket pair here.
Any pocket pair, any position.
On the Sunday Million, when we are so deep that I think that we are going to get enough value, then it's going to be a calculation that are we getting enough equity against him. I don't actually think that when there are UTG opens, then there are 2 callers. I think that his 3-betting range is going to crush our sixes, so we are getting out of the pot. And Markus, what about just calling with ace queen? I think we are realizing more of our value with the ace queen by being aggressive in the hand. Flat calling ace queen, I think it's also going to be going to be plus EV, but and especially when we are having some more value in playing the position games, and we are going to get more players in. But then there is also the part that we are never going to hit really hard with the ace queen off, or next to never. So when we are only calling, we are most likely we are getting into a four-way pot with ace queen off. That's not going to play very well. And I almost screwed it up. I'm trying to price it that it would seem enticing to them. And now we pretty much had a sucky flop.
Unfortunately.
I'm going to get flack from this, but I think that his range will include so many aces, and I'm not going to get to showdown cheaply with queens, that I think this is more profitable to just fold, because there are like no draws that he can bet there, so he's most likely he's having an ace, or if he's having a pocket pair, then he's turning the pocket pair into a bluff. And I think most pocket pairs would also try to pot control there, so his range will be so predominantly ace hands that... And now we got kings twice in a row in the Sunday mill.
Maybe some chips this time, like a reasonable amount of chips.
And here we have just 1,000 to call. It's actually good for him to do it non-all-in way, so it's not instantly obvious to me that he's going to be all in. And while multi-tabling, it can sometimes be pretty hard. And Ginger 4 bets, first calls, raise, then 4 bets. And this is pretty much the thing when I start hating life. Because he's a bad player, I think that there will be also queens and ace king in his range, so I'm going to ship it, but it's somewhat of a setup, and I can also play it with just calling, but it feels so damn weak to just call kings there. So kings versus aces, and when we have called twice, he has been... Actually, I now misread I thought that he had been really aggressive, but it's the other way around, that he has been really passive and folding a lot post-flop, and now I have called with a weak hand twice, so... I'm trying to screw up the games here, but try to focus more on what I'm telling you than how I'm playing, because it doesn't seem... I don't seem to be my best today. But we are not giving up on the Sunday mill. We are fighting still, even though we lost a large spot.
And even though it would have screamed aces, it would have been too weak to just fold the kings.
4 bet. There's just too little left that we just need to call. I think Ray's 4 betting ace queen off he's overplaying his hand slightly, and now he got some rewards for overplaying his hands. Nah, I'm not blaming stars for setting me up, because when Ginger just calls and 4 bets, it's kinda likely that he has aces, or he has otherwise great hand, like he's having a top 2% hand anyway, or top 3% hand. And my only hope is that he's doing the same with other hands than just aces. And that's what I was counting for, because it's going to be very plus EV for me that if he's going to do it. If he's going to do it as well with...
surprise, we got some more tables.
Yeah, I thought that we are going to run out of tables, but now we aren't. No, we aren't, because we got the Hotter 55 Turbo and $27 Turbo Knockout. On the Sunday mill, I chose to limp Ace-9 suited because I can hit pretty hard. A suitable board with Ace-9 suited, it plays well in multi-way pots, and when we have just so little to call and we pretty much know where we stand on the flop, it will be calling the race from Seamantown and see that where we are. But I'm going to play pretty honestly after this point. On the Queen-Queen hand, I think, Korpistor, you have a good point that we could also have bet it and make some of his weaker equity hands to fold. And now we get him a chance to bluff us out of our equity. That usually isn't that nice, because we don't like to get bluffed out of our equity. We like to bluff others out of their equity and get their equity. Actually, with ace, I'm going to mark him as well.
That Sunday million is starting to look more and more better by the hand.
But I think then when I'm thinking about do I want to play the flop or do I call, do I 3-bet small, do I 3-bet large, it depends on how my hand plays against a re-raise. What is the flopability of the hand, like how often do I hit the board hard? And like something with ace queen off, the problem is that when I hit the board it usually is only one pair hand. But with something like ace queen suited, I have, with the flush draw, I have a lot more options to hit the board hard. I don't believe that Hulk would have, but it's like a mandatory c-bet for him. And because I don't believe him, I'm going to make a bit spooky looking 3-bet, and now I think Christmas came early.
Well, I think there is no force that.
But I'm going to hate this because it makes ace queen, or when he bets just half of his stack, I think it makes it more likely that he has a really strong hand there. That's going to be a set or ace queen. Or kings.
Oh well. I think that hand has been really fatal for us today.
Yeah.
Ace queen. Maybe you should just.
Ace queen 4 times against aces and now once against kings. But if I wouldn't have hit the turn, I would have been giving it up.
And it's kind of bad because after you hit the turn, there was no force that could have kept you out of that pot anymore.
I think that there is also that when Korpistori says that ace king spot is kind of nasty. Yeah, I think it's nasty spot too, and I don't like the spot because ace queen suited is a hand that is too good to just fold, or it would have been just too weak to fold. I'm going for a big value because there are some loose players going to be with me, and I think that I can have some value from them, and I got over a pot from flush. Damn, I should have bet more.
Nobody folds flush.
But I think that's also like now he earns something. He earns my attention, my undivided attention.
Well, I wouldn't say undivided if you see how many tables you have at the moment. But it's a good to mark those players. Then you see more fast that what's the whole situation there, and you can see some good players that you wanna play against.
And usually if I see the same players that I have marked from an MTT, if I see them go into a sit and go, if they have been marked bad or good, I think that they are going to be they are going to play quite the same way.
Which is not good.
Which is not good most of the time. I'm thinking how close are we in the money. And King Queen, my heart bleeds a little seeing that we are folding nice equity there, but when it's the most plus EV play to do, then we'll just do the most plus EV play. I'm trying to see the big antes, 99 entrants and 12 places paid. So we are getting in the hotter 55. I'm thinking that with Kauris that I'm thinking that his range is wider than Kingston aces. But also when he's calling our re-raise on the flop, when he's calling our re-raise on the flop, then he's pretty much telling us that he has a good hand. And that's something that, but when we hit a good hand ourselves, it makes it really hard for us to let it go on the turn. Really hard. And even though he seemed needy, there are some options for him to have. And we are going to c-bet this ace king, because I think that if he's having a weak king or he's having a pocket pair, we can get him to fold, because it's kind of likely that we are having an ace there. Korpisoturi, I play hyper sit and goes mainly, so I'm always excited to see fishes on the table. And like playing MTTs, it's like a kid in the candy store. I'm looking like, I want to play with all of these players.
Maybe it just tells too much about the situation in hypers. Breakfast.
I think folding flop is standard, but I thought that Hulk will be c-betting the board widely. So, and I think that I'm going to get the pot myself pretty often with a small 3-bet there, or small re-raise.
I think one thing that we talked about last time was that since you are so used to playing with regular players, you might be sometimes overthinking these situations when you are playing with just a pool of 4 players, that you would think that they just try to level you up or something, and instead of they just look at their own hand and go with it.
Yeah, I think that's something that's a mental leak for most of the players. And I think there's a mental leak for most of the players that they are reflecting too much on what they would themselves do. And there needs to be some kind of like fish whisperer, like thinking about what will the fish think in this spot when you are playing against a player that doesn't think in the same way than you think.
It might be also called a fancy play syndrome, I guess. That you just try to do that complicated moves thinking that you're gonna level up a player who has no idea that what would be the optional choice for that kind of situation. And if you're thinking that the player who knows would do this, and thinking that you would be responding in that way, and instead of doing it the other way, there is always a chance that you are the only one who gets the most confused there.
Yeah, and it's something that poker is all about responding to the other players and exploiting their leagues to the maximum. And that's what tournament poker is for me, that I'm trying to think about how the players are losing most of the money, and I try to play in a way that makes them lose the most amount of money to me.
That sounds reasonable.
But still, there might be situations when it has been too long for me since I have been a fish that I can't think like a fish, and that's something that's going to be hard as well. And Korpisoturi, I think that the Sunday Million table, it's sick as well, but I think this shows that the satellites are good for the game, because I'm trying to play the Hudders and Biggers. Even though they are having large player pools, they are also having a lot of satellites to them, and when they are having a lot of satellites to them, it's going to be better games for us. Their chance asks, do you ever show your hand in order to play some mind games? And I never show my hand, because I think that it just gives extra information to the opponents on how you are playing, and most people that think they are getting some value out of it, I think if you are getting value out of it, you would need to be playing like in a cash game tables, that you know that you are going to play the opponents again. And remind me of this Queen 10 hand. But like in tournaments, you are playing so little time with the players, and it isn't guaranteed that you are playing against the opponents for a long time, so I don't think that you are going to get very good mind games going on. And also, at the cash game tables, if you are going to show something that makes your players react, you would need to do it in a way that you are targeting players that are playing a small amount of tables. Like if I'm targeting some Supernova here, like BP platform, I think it's a Supernova or Supernova Elite even. Like, why would I target him with some kind of mind games when most likely he's playing 30 tables and doesn't pay any attention to what I do? Or Miss Oracle, he's playing also a lot of tables. I have played against him in Hypers sometime. And Kuba is also, I think it's correct that usually casual players are the players that are showing the hands, so you can get some more information about the players as well if you are seeing them show their hand.
I think now is the point when I have to remind you of that Queen 10 hand.
The Queen 10 hand, when we are under the gun, it had been something like Queen Jack suited. Queen Jack suited would be a shove there, and it would have been a clear shove. Even Queen 10 suited would probably be a clear shove there, and something like Jack 10 suited for sure. When we are 8 big blinds deep and there are 9 players paying the antes. But like right now, it isn't going to be. We are playing some weird mind games PP platform, but I know that he knows position.
This is exactly what you talked about a minute ago.
Yeah, but I know that he knows position. He can do ballsy bluffs, and this is pretty much the moment that it gets a bit more sucky for me, when I need to do bigger decisions when he plays against me. And with the reverse ace, it's probably the worst card on the deck, but also I'm going to fold it there against PP platform. I'm giving him a lot of respect in kings. Like, I know that he can play. I know that he probably recognizes me, and I have seen him play against button or SP with a wide range. So that's why I call with King 10, and I think that we had enough space in our stacks before that hand. We had like 50 big blinds, so... And lucky for me that we could see the end result of the hand there. Korpisoturi is also, I think when the table was full of fishes of the $22 MTT, it's kind of pointless to do a big variance move against a nit. You can protect your chips by folding and then chip up from the nit. And I don't think it's, if you are talking about the ace-queen suited, I don't think that it's going to be a sick variance move most of the time. And it usually results in chipping up from the nit, but now we hit slightly better than expected, and that's why it turned up to be a sick variance move, but it wasn't planned to be a sick variance move. So that's pretty much that. When the board can screw you up, it pretty much screws you up, and standard play there it would be to fold the flop. But for some reason that I can't explain, I got the sense that the supernova there would have practically nothing on the 5, 7, 8 flop, and I would get the pot most of the time by re-raising it there, or I could have floated it, and if he wouldn't fire a second barrel, I would then try to take it away from him on the turn. That would have been a bit less variance move, but still, I don't think it's that horrible that you make it sound. And I think on Korpisoturi's point that if you are having a good table, you don't want to be doing the biggest variance moves. You want to be in the table because being in a good table is an advantage for you, and you want to use it to your maximum advantage. And like against the guy there, like the supernova, the ace queen suited that got into a huge variance move, if I wouldn't have hit the queen on the turn, I wouldn't have gone broke on the hand. So it's also slightly a horrible accident, let's say. And on the Justin TV chat, there is Sick Brat that said that Stars is the best poker room. I tend to agree that Stars, it's easy also to keep coachings here because Stars always works. Like, I know that everything works in Stars, and I don't need to do any technical stuff on Stars because I know that it just works, and it works well.
And there is always games, always players. You don't need to worry about whether you get enough traffic going on or anything else like that. And as you said, everything works.
I'm going to bet big on Sunday Mill. I have folded to ace once, and I think that ace will be probably calling too much, and we are going broke. Even though we have a nice table, I think two pair is just, when the flop is so drawy, the 10-7 suited, 10-7 with the two pair will be too strong of a hand against, and there will be a lot of draws that the player wants to put money in. So now we are again in the game on the Sunday Mill.
Back in the game. Anything can happen. And I see that hand again. It's the same colors as well. And I'm afraid already.
We can't get screwed by ace queen all the time. It just shouldn't happen.
Yeah, it shouldn't, but what if it does happen?
It shouldn't happen.
No.
It will. Ace Queen will be good for us today. It will be
Yeah.
good for some point.
Fingers crossed. I'm not saying a word until I see the river. If it ever goes there.
I'm going to fold it. I'm not giving Ace Queen a chance here. Because I think that Ace Queen, when we are open UTG +1, for him to shove, actually 9.3k to call, but the pot will be just 13k right now, so we would need 40-ish percent. Actually, we are not getting dominated, and there should be just lower pairs, so if we are flipping here, we are still happy about flipping. It was good for us!
Amazing!
Because
I never thought it would happen. We won something with Ace Queen. Yeah, that was kind of funny. Yeah, of course I'm gonna fold. Yeah, no problem. Well, no, wait a minute. I have to do some calculations. Actually, and then I know that you're gonna go all in.
yeah, I just started counting on what would the pot be. Actually, I didn't see that there are two players with me. I just thought that there would be one player with me. So this bet isn't good, so don't watch it. Especially if it gets pooey. I just thought that we had one opponent left. And I'm using PokerStars with the team that gets largest cards for my opponents, so it's easiest for me to instantly see which players are in and which players aren't. And still I'm not looking at the players, which is a mistake, because in tournaments you are playing the opponents, you are playing the situation, and if you are playing the situation you need to look at the situation to know the situation.
Indeed. I couldn't have said that any better way.
I don't like to fold against a guy that min raises from the small blind, because I can play a pot in position. I don't think that you need to even bet. I don't think that you need to bet even half a pot there. Like 1/3 of the pot will be enough. When it's a monotone board, the guys are doing pretty binary decisions, and it's very hard for them to carry on playing without any card of that suit. And that's pretty often that it happens that you don't have one of the four suits, especially when there is already three cards on the flop. 1000 chips to play, and there will be over 20 times that left, so we are calling and we are set mining and we are hitting the jackpot.
Wow.
And now just there is the problem that we had with quads earlier on today, because with the quads there aren't a lot that the guys can hit, and like there are some overcards that they can hit, but that's pretty much.
Or bigger pairs.
Or yeah, over pairs, and we are going to give them opportunity to spew their chips to me, because I like chips. I like my fish and chips. Now I think that it's pretty likely that he's having a overpair smaller than a king, and I'm thinking what is the optimal amount to bet that he would be calling me. And I'm betting less than half a pot, because I want him to call me with something like 8s, 9s.
Ah, spot on. He had jacks.
That's pretty much that he was just telegraphing his hand to me all the time, because there aren't a lot of hands that a player could have on that spot when the hand goes down like that. Like a poker player's thought process should be all the time trying to narrow down the opponent's range of hands after every action, like what is he doing, or what kind of hand range he's doing this action, then on the next street you are narrowing down the range, and if you are getting to the river you usually have a pretty good idea, like just a few hands on what the opponent should have after certain parts of action. But there are surprises, because other players are always trying to surprise you. But now I'm trying to keep myself energized for the rest of the evening, so we are going to take a break and we are going to get back in 5 minutes. So see you in 5 minutes.